on this Saturday night, demanding answers. Police face the public after a violent sexual assault on an 8-year-old girl in eastern Ontario was initially blamed on an animal.
That's just horrendous. It went on for so long before there was a decision made, like by the OPP.
Officials are providing an update and taking questions at a town hall tonight. Pilot confusion or technical malfunction? The cockpit recording raising new questions about last month's deadly Air India crash. Your happy place. A survey reveals Canada's happiest and saddest provinces. Plus, celebrating inner beauty.
Pageants, you know, they're changing from, I would say, like rooted in vanity to like community work.
The new generation of pageant queens vying to be named Miss Indigenous Canada.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. A small Ontario community is demanding action and answers after an alleged violent sexual assault of an 8-year-old girl that police initially suspected was an animal attack. Police have since arrested a 17-year-old in the case. He's been charged with attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon. The 8-year-old victim was found with life-threatening injuries on June 24th after she was reported missing, and she remains in hospital.
I want to recognize the impact that the last 2.5 weeks have had on this community. Certainly impact on a young child in your community, but the impact on everybody in this community, I can appreciate, is significant.
That is Ontario Provincial Police at a town hall tonight, speaking to members of the small community of Quadeville, 170 kilometers west of Ottawa. Our Nathaniel Dove is in Quadeville, where that town hall is happening. So, Nate, what are you hearing from people in that community?
Jeff, Global News spoke to Quadeville residents who say they're frustrated and have questions for police. They say the initial police report that an animal attack sent an 8-year-old girl to hospital with life-threatening injuries didn't make much sense. Several of the less than 300 people in Quadeville are hunters and so have said the temperature is too hot right now for predators, wolves and lynx to hunt. Police previously told Global News, though, it did look like an animal attack. But on Wednesday, Ontario Provincial Police announced they arrested and charged a 17-year-old boy with attempted murder and sexual assault with a weapon. It's especially upsetting, people here say, because Quadeville isn't just a place where everyone knows everyone. It's where many residents are related, where kids of all ages play together. The mayor says emotions remain very raw.
Very difficult, especially when you know who it is and their parents and the grandparents live in the community. Like, that's just horrendous.
Even though they're looking for answers, Mayor Valerie Yon says many are focused on the girl's health and on both families. Yon also says she believes everyone in the hamlet will recover, though they may never be the same. A family friend tells Global News that the young girl is doing well, though she remains in hospital. Jeff?
All right, Nathaniel Dove in Quadeville, Ontario tonight. Thanks, Nate. Soaring summer temperatures across the country are fueling dangerous wildfire conditions. Hundreds of fires are now burning out of control across much of Western Canada. Manitoba has declared a province-wide state of emergency for the second time this year. 2 northern communities are also under evacuation orders. Those fires are also producing thick smoke, causing dangerously poor air quality for thousands of people in both Canada and the U.S., triggering warnings to stay indoors or wear a mask outside. Poor air quality in Regina forced a CFL game to be postponed last night. Thousands of fans waited in the stands for hours for the opening kickoff between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and Calgary Stampeders. But the highly anticipated game was delayed 3 times before officials finally called it off at 10:45 p.m. when the air quality failed to improve. And along with fire and smoke, much of the country is also dealing with dangerously high temperatures. Environment Canada posting heat warnings across 6 provinces. This already marks the 3rd heat warning of the summer across southern Ontario, and the heat wave is forecast to be unusually long. Lexy Benedict reports on how people are coping and when to expect relief.
A wave of extreme heat has taken over the city of Toronto once again.
It's a 5-day event. It's not intensely warm as what we saw 3 weeks ago, but it is still uncomfortable for some.
Hot and humid conditions that will not only feel sticky, but will be sticking around.
If we get some rain tomorrow, tonight, and tomorrow, that would just add more humidity to the airs.
It's way too hot.
She says it's hot. It's amazing.
And this heat has many flocking to the 57 pools open across the city.
I'm doing good. The water is amazing, and it's such a great day. The heatness, not so great, but still really fun.
Thank God. I was waiting for the sun.
Some outdoor pools will be open until 11:45 p.m. with extended hours.
It's a great way for us to just get comfortable.
More than 500 cooling centers across the city will remain open, and more than 100 additional shelter spaces have been activated.
I just try and stay in shaded areas, go swimming, and of course air conditioning.
I'll probably have an excuse to go to the beach every day, so I'll take it.
And relief from the sweltering heat we're experiencing isn't expected anytime soon. Environment Canada says we can expect these temperatures to last until the end of the week. Lexy Benedict, Global News, Toronto.
As heat waves become more frequent and intense, new data from Statistics Canada is raising concerns about access to air conditioning. The numbers point to a growing gap that's putting renters, low-income households, and vulnerable residents at risk. Neetu Garcha reports.
With the summer sun bearing down, many Canadians are searching for relief, but access to air conditioning and protection from extreme heat isn't universal. New data from Statistics Canada shows it's more likely to be an issue for renters and lower-income Canadians.
I think that we are not quite acknowledging the urgency that extreme heat poses.
According to the survey, 76% of homeowners in Canada have air conditioning, but that drops to just 52% for renters. The gap is even wider when income is factored in. Those earning more than $150,000 are most likely to have AC at 82%, compared to just 55% of lower-income households. Advocates say that gap is putting tenants' health and well-being at risk.
A lot of people, they say, I can't go to work this morning because I can't sleep last night.
They're calling for the establishment of a regulated maximum indoor air temperature of 26 degrees.
Some studies show that even after being exposed to heat for a short period of time, you have long-term damage to some of those essential organ systems like hearts and lungs and brains and kidneys.
If they can give the landlord grants or loans that they can easily repay, so they can retrofit the buildings.
The new data shows newer homes built in 2001 or later are more likely to have an air conditioner. And across the country, Ontario residents were the most likely to have AC, while people in BC were the least likely. The study suggests most Canadians are trying to save energy when possible.
Checking in on your friends and neighbors matters. Opening up cooling centers matters. Having at least one community room in a multi-residential unit that has air conditioning, those small actions matter.
But he says without a systemic approach to regulated indoor temperature limits, the gap between those who can stay cool and those who can't may keep growing as summer gets hotter. Neetu Garcha, Global News, Vancouver.
Another day, another tariff threat from the U.S. president, this one aimed at Mexico and Europe. Donald Trump is threatening to impose a 30% tariff starting next month. The president sent letters to the leaders of the European Union and Mexico, similar to the one Prime Minister Mark Carney received earlier this week. Trump cites trade imbalances with the EU and what he calls Mexico's failure to curb the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. Both the EU and Mexico have called the move unfair and disruptive, while also pledging to continue negotiating new trade deals with the White House. A man accused of attempting to assassinate Donald Trump has penned a letter to the judge asking why the death penalty isn't on the table. Ryan Ruth was arrested after allegedly aiming his rifle through the bushes as Trump played golf last September. In the letter, Ruth tells the judge he wants to represent himself and asks, why is the death penalty not allowed? A life of nothingness without love, what is the point? He also proposes offering himself up in a prisoner swap with Hamas, Iran, or China. Ruth has pleaded not guilty to several charges, including attempting to assassinate a presidential candidate. We're learning new details about what went wrong before the Air India crash that killed 260 people 1 month ago today. An audio recording from inside the Boeing plane's cockpit reveals confusion among the pilots, and it's raising questions and sparking debate about whether the crash was caused by human error or technical malfunction. Candace Cole reports from Washington.
A preliminary report released by India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau reveals both engines of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner from Ahmedabad to London's Gatwick Airport lost power just seconds after takeoff. 260 people perished in the crash, including a Canadian dentist. Miraculously, one person survived. The report says both fuel switches were briefly switched off, but found in the on or run position in the aftermath of the crash. The findings have led to conflicting analysis by aviation experts.
This report suggests that those switches were moved by a person. Whether it was inadvertent or deliberate, we don't know yet, but those switches were moved by a person.
Former pilot Ehsan Khalid firmly disagrees.
Any kind of an speculation that pilots killed the engines 3 seconds after takeoff is totally incorrect.
According to the report, a black box recording has one pilot asking the other why he cut off the fuel switch, to which the other pilot replied that he had not done so.
It is a switch which you lift up and then you move, and then it goes in its slot, then you lift up and move it. It's not easy to be moved. It has to be a deliberate action of moving it.
Khalid said it was likely the fuel shutoff valve, which governs how fuel reaches the engine, that got turned off and not the fuel cutoff switch. According to the report, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration issued a notice in 2018 about the potential for the fuel control switch locking feature to become disengaged. However, it was not flagged as a safety concern. It further states there had been no reported defect of the fuel control switch since 2023. Former pilot Marco Chan says the report exonerates Captain Sumit Sabaral and his co-pilot Clive Kunder, who also perished.
From reading from the findings, it tells me that it was in pilot error.
The report does not make any recommendations or conclusions. A final report is still to come. Candace Cole, Global News, Washington.
Russia's top diplomat touches down in North Korea. Coming up, Kim Jong-un hosts Sergei Lavrov to discuss their military alliance, the potential consequences for Ukraine. Plus, a particularly deadly day in Gaza. More Palestinians killed near an aid distribution site. We'll have an update on the ceasefire talks next. Russia pounded Ukraine with hundreds of drone strikes overnight, killing at least 6 people. Ukraine says Russian forces fired nearly 600 drones and 26 missiles. Residential buildings in Lviv, Kharkiv, and Sumy were destroyed. Russia has recently stepped up its long-range aerial assaults. This marks Moscow's 4th major attack just this month, as U.S.-led ceasefire talks appear to have stalled. U.S. President Trump is promising to make a major statement regarding Russia on Monday. And Russia's top diplomat, Sergei Lavrov, met North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un today, a sign of deepening ties as Moscow pulls Pyongyang deeper into its war. North Korea is reportedly preparing to send up to 30,000 more soldiers to support Russia in the conflict. Lavrov thanked Kim for the thousands of soldiers and military equipment that North Korea has already supplied. In Gaza, Israeli airstrikes and attacks killed at least 59 Palestinians today. According to hospital officials in Gaza, at least 31 people were shot dead on their way to an aid distribution site. Officials say the victims include at least 4 children. The attacks come as optimism fades for a ceasefire. Palestinian officials say peace talks in Qatar are on the verge of collapse. And a meeting this week at the White House between U.S. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also failed to produce a breakthrough. Meanwhile, in the occupied West Bank, 2 Palestinians were killed by Israeli settlers on Friday. One of those victims was a 20-year-old dual U.S. citizen. He was reportedly beaten to death in a town north of Ramallah. Israel's military says stones were thrown at Israelis in the area, and the violent confrontation then developed. According to the victim's family and Palestinian health officials, the Israeli settlers blocked an ambulance from reaching the victims. They later died of their injuries. Which province is the happiest in Canada? The answer coming up. Well, if you get motion sickness, you might want to avert your eyes. This is the dizzying view from Canada's newest record-breaking roller coaster. The Alpine Fury made its debut today at Canada's Wonderland, just north of Toronto. The amusement park calls it the tallest, fastest, and longest coaster in the country. The ride hits speeds of 115 kilometers an hour. It also features 9 inversions. That's the most of any launch coaster in the world. Thrill seekers will need to pack their patience, though, with hours-long lineups reported today. Canada's Wonderland may be a happy place for some, but Canadians in the province next door appear to be even happier. The results of a new Canada Happiness Survey are out, and they reveal Quebecers are home to the happiest province in Canada. But not all Canadians are in a good mood. Dan Spector breaks down the results.
On a sultry summer day on Mount Royal, there are plenty of smiles to go around, and according to a new survey, this should come as no surprise. Quebec has just been named the happiest province in the country, and Montreal, one of the happiest big cities in Canada.
I think I'd have to agree, actually.
I'm not surprised at all.
People are very nice.
The Leger polling firm surveyed 40,000 Canadians from across the country, asking them to rate their happiness on a scale from 0 to 100. Quebec has an average happiness index of 72.4, the highest in the country.
I think the reason why Quebec is so high is because Quebec focuses more on the arts and quality of life.
Oui, je le crois. Yep, I believe it, says this Montreal resident, adding people here are nice, welcoming, and helpful. In terms of Canada's big cities, Montreal is the second happiest, according to the survey.
It's a beautiful city, a lot to be happy about. The diversity, the lifestyle, and yeah, it's a very, very unique place in North America.
I'm from the U.S. and I just danced in the little rain puddle over there with a bunch of other people. That doesn't happen there. We were all just happy.
Toronto ranked 10th, last among big cities. The only city happier than Montreal is Mississauga, which this tourist from Ontario had a hard time believing.
I do not agree with that at all.
According to the survey, across Canada, young adults between 18 and 34 experienced an increase in optimism over the past year, while people between 35 and 44 were more likely to report either stagnation or even decline in their happiness. The happiest age group of them all? Seniors.
Être heureux, ça se partage.
Being happy makes others happy, he says, adding all his neighbors seem content. The survey did take place in the spring, leaving some to wonder if answers might be different at another time of year.
If you took that poll in mid-January, I beg it would probably differ.
Maybe so, and perhaps the respondents repressed their memories of things like orange cones and traffic jams. But nonetheless, there is plenty of positivity here. Dan Spector, Global News, Montreal.
A beauty pageant with a twist. Up next, who will be the next Miss Indigenous Canada? A picture-perfect launch today for ship Hector in Pictou, Nova Scotia. The ship is a replica of the original Hector, which brought Scottish settlers to the province 250 years ago. This replica was originally launched back in 2000, but wasn't properly maintained and had to be pulled out of the water for major restoration work that's expected to continue for 2 more years. Well, later this month, a group of young Indigenous women will gather in Brantford, Ontario for the Miss Indigenous Canada competition. It's a contest that goes well beyond beauty, with many contestants using the platform to shine a spotlight on issues that are close to their hearts. Melissa Ridgen introduces us to the contestants and their causes.
Gina Bubarb and Tamara Fontaine are part of a new generation of pageant queens.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I've seen them. They're so beautiful.
Sure, they still love pretty things, the bling, the big pageant lashes, But the competition is friendly and supportive.
Pageants, you know, they're changing from, I would say, like, rooted in vanity to, you know, like community work, right? Like, how can you be more involved and how can you help a cause that is so much bigger than yourself? And so I think it's just a really beautiful avenue to build those skills.
Bubarb and Fontaine are Manitoba's only representatives and both hail from Saugeen First Nation. Miss Indigenous Canada is in its second year, founded by Ilaria McKay, herself a longtime pageant girl.
Something that I personally had issues with was just the focus on external beauty and external colonial beauty standards. You know, I always felt like I was trying to fit into this mold of something that just wasn't who I was.
So she started a pageant that puts more focus on culture, community, and leadership.
Like, we have an essay competition, we have the cultural presentation competition, and we have interviews with the judges, and we have, my favorite is the community scrapbook. So at the beginning of the pageant, contestants hand in a scrapbook just talking about their community.
But even in bigger, more traditional pageant spaces, Indigenous women are thriving and advocating.
Imagine your daughter, your sister, or your mother went missing and nobody cared to look for them.
I am the first openly Two-Spirit contestant for Miss Indigenous Canada, and I'm very, very proud of this.
Fontaine grew up in poverty and was a teen mom. She's working on her social work degree and hopes to inspire others to persevere through challenges.
I really want to be a motivational speaker. That's what I really wanted to be. I really want to travel and go to different reserves, go to different other communities.
Our first ever Miss Indigenous Canada.
The reigning Miss Indigenous Canada is Jessica McKenzie of Apasquiat Cree Nation in northern Manitoba. Both Bubarb and Fontaine hope to keep the crown in the province, while 20 others from across Canada have different plans. But no matter who takes home the coveted beaded crown, everyone will have had their moment to shine light on important issues and causes. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
And that is Global National for this Saturday night. I'm Jeff Semple. This week, Your Canada is going global. We're showing you pictures of Canadian pride from all over the world. Tonight, we're showcasing Kiel, Germany, Cañada de Don Ciro in Spain, and the city of Overland Park in Kansas. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.